Hmm, good question. Is voiceover a good choice for you? Well, maybe. Let's break it down a little bit. Oh, hey, I'm Jan. Thanks for joining me. Uh, Hopefully, if you've clicked on this video, you're interested in voice acting or voiceover acting or whatever as a possible career choice or second job or something like that. And it's a cool job. I've been doing this full time now for um, 13 years, I think, something like that. Anyway, yeah, it's a great job, but it's not for everybody. Let's talk about a few reasons why it might be right for you. Okay, first things first. Do you love to act? Now, a lot of people come to voiceover without any prior acting experience, and that's okay. You can learn how to act. Um, you'll need coaching. You will need maybe acting lessons. It's always a great idea. Um, you might have a lot of talent that you're born with. Some of that talent might have to be developed. If you're coming from stage acting or on-screen acting, you might have to, shift around some of your acting styles to be, audio only. But yeah, that could be a really good starting point. I mean, yeah, you've got to love to act, okay? Um, and it's even better if you can take direction, meaning that if you're being directed by a director during a session, if what you want to be is you want to be moldable. You want to be able to take direction from somebody who can influence how your performance is going. Who can lead you to one direction or another. That's an absolute must. A lot of the time you'll be self-directing. That's just kind of the way the business is these days. But on many occasions, hopefully, you'll be taking directions from somebody else. Say, that they'll want to alter your performance a little bit. A little more of this, a little less of this. Change things up. So that's a big bonus. Now, here's something that people don't consider a lot of the time. Being an actor these days, whether it's a voice actor or an on-screen actor, stage actor, whatever, you are your own business entity. So you have to be willing to and be enthusiastic about running your own business and everything that comes with it, from keeping your receipts, doing your taxes, keeping track of your hours, keeping track of your payments, who they're from, working with accounting software. I use QuickBooks myself, have for years, but there are plenty of other great options out there depending upon what your needs are. Um, Other business things to think about are, what type of a business do I want to have? Do I want to have it just be a sole proprietorship? Do I want to have a corporation of some kind, an LLC? Um, all those things. Keeping track of your billing, of your receiving. Going after people who owe you money sometimes. It's all part of it. So you've really got to want to be your own boss, your own business person. I took a class when I first started my first business, which was not this, by the way. I was a plumbing contractor. I took a business course at the local community college, and it was great. Boy, did it help. Helped me learn about banking needs and accounting and business plans and, just keeping track of things, because it's, being your own boss and having your own business isn't really something that you just can kick back and just let it happen. You've got to be involved, which is fun. Some of it is not as fun as the other parts. Definitely the acting is, I mean, that's the fun part, but all the rest of it is kind of fun to be able to take on and successfully operate on your own as well. So, so you've got to want to be a business owner. That also includes being a self-starter. If you're going to be your own boss, Your boss is going to be looking at you in the mirror every morning. Nobody else is going to get on you to get up early, to get going, to take care of the things that need to be done, like your marketing and your accounting and your auditioning and your all of it. So you've got to be a self-starter. You got to get up and get going. And that's going to require some ambition. Are you ambitious? Being a business owner takes some ambition because, like I've kind of been hammering on about here, you've got it's all resting on your shoulders. Your success really rests on your shoulders. That's good and bad because if you are a self-starter, you know that you've got to work hard. You know you've got to be motivated to make a living. Well, you can't just sit back on the couch and wait for the work to come. Just because you hang out your shingle doesn't mean, oh my God, they're now a voice actor and the world has been waiting for you. No, no, no. There's an old saying, or an old story, I should say, that the last thing a casting director wakes up in the morning and thinks about is, oh gosh, I wish there were more actors in the world. No, there are so many actors, so many really good actors, and you're going to be competing with many of them to get work because everybody's going after the work. Okay. Um, and that brings me to my next point, and that is, success in voiceover or in acting does not come immediately. Not for most people. Most people have to put in years to get to see some sort of success. Now, how do you define success? Does it mean that it is your primary job? Does it mean that you are making money? Are you financially successful? Does it just mean, hey, I've gotten good enough at acting and studio operations to record some really fun stuff to show to my friends and family and stuff? Maybe that's all you'd want out of this, and that's okay. It really depends upon your expectations, what your needs are. So that's something to think about. Can you hang in there and work towards a long-term goal? Then yeah, the voiceover might be great for you. Um, because as I said, voiceover success, financial success in particular, does not come quickly. You've got to typically people need training, not only in performance, but also most people need help putting together a recording setup, a studio of some kind, of getting over the hurdles of learning recording software. Excuse me, that kind of stuff, and getting good at it. There's a big difference between just kind of tinkering around with recording software and being proficient, so that you can record and edit your material. It's good, sounding great. You're hearing. You can really rely on your ears to tell you whether things are sounding the way they should or not. That can take time. I'm lucky in that regard. I started hanging out in recording studios when I was a young rocker, as a teenager, recording guitars in rock bands since I was, like I said, a teenager. So I've been around it. I took college courses in recording. So I've been around it a lot. Not everybody has been. A lot of people come into this fresh. A lot of times people haven't even been in front of a microphone before. But that's okay. All that can be overcome with experience. What else? Voiceover could be really good for you if you don't need a job right now. If you need income, get another job, get a different job, and start learning voiceover concurrently with whatever job you're working at. That's what I did. That's what most people do, because most people don't have a lot of money just sitting around in a bank waiting to be used up while you're learning how to create a new career for yourself, a new business for yourself. So yeah, I ran my plumbing business during the day, and I was on my computer and learning and training and all that kind of stuff at night and on the weekends. So I did that concurrently for several years before I could make a full-time living. So just be aware of that. If that is right for you, if that sounds appealing to you and you realize that and you can work towards that long-term goal, then great. Yeah, this could be really good for you. Um, and also you have to realize, as I mentioned previously, that there's a lot of talent out there. There's more talent than there are jobs. But if you apply yourself, you keep getting better. As they say, the cream rises to the top. And the more that you audition for things, the more jobs that you start doing, it can start to snowball. Return clients are a huge thing. That's how you really start to make a career, is by having a pool of clients that come back to you again and again and again without having to audition. They just say, "Hey, I've got another one for you. Can you get this back to me as soon as possible?" Yeah, I can. Now, okay, so those are some points about how voiceover could be great for you. Now, as I said, it's not great for everybody. Um, and I'm just going to say this again. If you need a job right now, don't look to voiceover to give you an income now. It might take a while, at least a year, probably, if not longer, to start having some income trickle in. A lot of that year, especially if you're new to recording and to acting, you're going to be laying out much more capital than you're bringing in. Good training costs money. It's an education. It's learning the tools you need to have a thriving business from people who have already done it. And people aren't going to do that for free. I mean, not good one-on-one training and coaching. That costs money. And so you'll be laying out a few $1,000s at least in terms of both coaching, um, buying all the equipment and other supplies you need to have a good recording environment. Professional demos. Demos cost money and they can be kind of expensive. The cost can range wildly, but go to somebody that you trust and that you can talk to and work with. Um, Very important. Anyway, back to whether or not voiceover is right for you. Now, um, I kind of touched on this a little bit, but I want to reiterate that there's a lot to learn with voiceover. There's the acting, there's the business side, there's the recording engineer. You have to be your own recording engineer. These days, you have to have a studio at home. Whether it is something like this, a larger room, an isolation booth that you record in, what typically is referred to as a blanket booth. You need to have something that's going to give you pro quality audio. If you don't, you're not going to be able to compete because audio quality is huge with professional voiceover. You have to have it. Otherwise, you're spinning your wheels. You're never going to get there. You're never going to get hired. And if you do get hired, you probably won't get hired again because that client just went, nope, that's not going to work for me. Here's another thing that you need to consider and why voiceover may not be right for you. And that is if you need a steady paycheck. Income from voiceover, just like any acting job, is going to be more of like this. You're going to score some big jobs, then it might die off a bit. Checks will be rolling in, then they'll fall off. It's a different mindset. You can't just spend your money when it comes in. You've got to budget yourself so that, you're not spending all of your money when it comes in so that you're left with nothing when there's no money coming in. It can vary wildly in terms of, how quickly you're bringing in income. It really depends upon how much you're working and how regularly you're working. So that's another reason why, this isn't something that you can rely on to make an income right when you get started. No, it just doesn't work that way. Typically, it takes a few years, okay, to build up to a a reasonable income. And of course, I'm using that term very loosely because what's reasonable for you may not be reasonable for me. It all depends upon what your needs are, whether you have a partner that works and brings in income, um, where you live in the world. I live in the western part of the United States. It's expensive here. So it really depends upon you, what your needs are, what your requirements are, what your ability is, what your availability to learn something new is, and adapt. Okay. So let's recap. Is voiceover right for you? Maybe. It just might be. Just know that it's going to take time. It's not an easy thing to do and do well and be successful at it. A lot of people drop out after realizing that they don't have the passion to carry them through the lean times. And there are lean times. I mean, I've been in this for a long time, well, pretty long time. And yeah, there are some lean times like, oh, damn. Where is everybody? There are times when that happens. Other times it's like, oh God, wow, I've got a lot to get to. So think carefully before you start spending money on coaching, on equipment. Because, I want you to succeed. I think you can, but do you think you can? Can you make the commitment to do it? And if you can, great. Jump in. The water's fine. As long as you're ready to work for it. Okay? Thanks for watching. There's some information below down in the description, the video description, if you'd like to work with me on voiceover performances or putting together a studio. I try to do everything on a leaner budget for most people, in terms of buying equipment and things like that. But anyway, we can always talk about that at another time, or watch some of my other videos where I do talk about some of that stuff. Okay? Thanks again. Take care. Bye.